Okay, welcome everybody to the meeting. I will do speakers, members of the shareholder committee meeting and officers speaking for a report will be called on to speak. If time permits, a few questions may be taken from the chair of the OSC or other non-leadership team council. I don't see any just yet, so the office is in here. In fact, there is a non-leadership team councillor. Any questions you might have, you're welcome to table to the meeting, Councillor Whelan-Sand. And likewise, any residents in attendance, but only after lead members have had the opportunity to ask questions and discuss each item. Members of the leadership team are invited to introduce themselves, so I'll go first. I'm Councillor Johnny Fadden. I'm the lead member for Finance and Customer Delivery and the Councillor in Holland Ward.
So I'm King Taylor Smith, Deputy Leader, responsibility for grateful housing and social investment, and obviously this is a paper dear to my heart.
And I'm Jack Miley, Lead Member for Planning, Place and Environment.
Thank you. I invite all to join now in 72 seconds of silence to remember those who lost their lives in the Grenfell tragedy. Our governance officer will confirm once the 72 seconds have passed. Please join me now in that silence.
Thank you.
Thank you. We now move to A1, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations that we wish to make at this stage? Good. A2 is apologies for absence. I haven't received any. Toyin, can you confirm, are there?
None received.
No? Okay, good. A3, the minutes of the previous meeting on the 18th of July. Are there any comments on the minutes? Stunned silence. I will take them as agreed in that case. We go in that case to A4, the shareholder committee approval of matters related to the government network. I don't know if Dan or James would like to introduce it.
Very briefly, just to say this is kind of one of the staging posts on the route, kind of between the two big decisions, the one which the leadership team already took to agree the principle of establishing the network and the company to govern it. We are kind of in the run up to a further major decision, which is kind of investment decision, which is coming in spring next year. This is part of the staging process about the decision you're being asked to make, as well as a kind of brief update on the report. The actual decision is the appointment of two further board members to the board. So you know the committee has already appointed the community nominees to the board. This is the kind of more expert nominees, if you like, the people who bring expertise from the housing and energy sector in our aim to have a kind of rounded board that represents the right mixture of knowledge and expertise and perspectives to bring the governance to the company. So that's the decision.
Just to add, in terms of the recommendation of substance, as Dan said, it provides some commercial experience and probably strategic experience to complement what we think is already a really dynamic and really highly engaged board. We're planning to have a business planning away day with that full board on the 2nd of November, and after which there will be briefings for the shareholder committee prior to any formal proposal of said business plan well in advance of the final investment decision hopefully taken.
Thank you. I only had one very minor point I wanted to make, but at 1.3 we refer to a date in the future. in the past tense, I'm presuming in 2021, but if we can correct that as we take them forward. Are there any questions though from colleagues?
No, I mean, no questions. I think probably more of a statement because, I mean, this for me is a real mixed emotion because I'm incredibly excited by the fact that we are going and creating this heat network on the Lancaster West estate. It's exactly the thing that the council should be doing, looking at, because of our carbon commitment. That's the excitement. The nervousness is we're doing it in quite volatile circumstances, etc. But we're moving ahead. We're going to do that cautiously. I think that, as James and Dan have said, the big meeting is going to be when we start looking at the numbers and committing to the cost of the actual contract, which at this stage is obviously we're currently evaluating. But yeah, no, it's I'm pleased to be sitting here on the meeting.
Nothing from me.
I thought it was a very good paper actually. It's clear in the recommendation is about the two people that we intend to have join the board. They both seem eminently qualified. Is there anything further we ought to know about the process that was undertaken? Sort of what made these candidates stand out against what was hopefully a strong field?
Yeah, happy to speak to that. So we did a high-profile campaign with lots of people in this room inputting the best way to approach this, given the sensitive context which we operate on, particularly in terms of Lancaster West. We had 31 applicants from all over the world, in fact, alone all over London and the UK, from all walks of life, all different levels of experience. The composition of the panel consisted of myself as the project sponsor, Liam and Terry as the two council nominees on the board, Susan and Daniel, who previously the Shareholder Committee and subsequently the now Heat Board appointed on as the resident reps participated as well. So we looked at things from multiple perspectives, and we had a number of appointable candidates, but these two in particular really stood out in terms of the current skills matrix of the board, in terms of establishing
for someone of it. No, it's not very good.
establishing some resilience should anything happen to any individual member of the board or myself, potentially. And so, yeah, we're very pleased to recommend the two appointments that we've set out for the reasons why in the report.
And it refers at 4.15 to an interim managing director being announced in the meantime. Can you give us any updates on that process?
Yeah, so as per the scheme of delegations, that sits with myself. Currently finalising an options appraisal, which we will share with Kim as the primary lead member sponsor in terms of ways forward. And that's something we will hope to share with you in the next fortnight or so for your consideration.
Thank you. I think Kim hit the nail on the head. We're all excited about this as a project, but I think naturally we feel a degree of anxiety about the current situation with the energy crisis.
You're not the only one.
No. What steps are we taking or can we take over the coming months to mitigate the impact of that in how we go about setting this up?
Yeah, excellent question. One I'm certainly asking on a daily basis, as you can imagine. If you look at it from a fuel source point of view, in terms of what's happening to gas, that certainly strengthens our business plan from the point of view of being able to provide some certainty to residents around the price promise that we're guaranteed. There's elements around the technology and that we're producing the heating on hot water on site, so we aren't dependent on transcontinental pipelines of whether it's electric, gas, and so on. We are, though, up against a number of challenges which we're exploring in terms of electrification generally, which, as I know, I've had conversations with a number of you around, EV grid, solar, so on. So I think we are facing being at the front and leading edge of that queue in terms of electrification. There are potentially some speed humps, if you like, in terms of investment that will need to take place in the area. The good news is that despite everything that's happened, we are modelling our business case currently, and we believe that we are still able to pay off any equity or loan that the council would need to put in within the 40-year period. There's been some positive changes in terms of business rates no longer applying to heat networks, which when leadership took its initial decision wasn't the case. So there are some positives. And I think the main positive is certainly around our phase 2, our expansion. So our phase 1 business case is assuming there would be zero expansion within that 40-year period. We believe that certainly by the end of this calendar year, we'll be able to share with you a number of opportunities, particularly with regards to council-owned assets, social housing, where we will be able to expand across Nottingdale and even beyond. So it is something we take a close watch on, certainly in terms of the capital expenditure, given things that are going on in the built environment industry, aside from energy. I think that's where the strain is going to be. I think the nature of the system and the way that it generates heating and hot water, as I've described, in some cases immunise itself from the wider geopolitical stuff that's going on. But the capex is certainly going to be a challenge, and we're going to provide some briefings in the next couple of weeks or so for review in terms of what that's currently doing.
The other thing that's worth saying on the kind of resident consumer-facing element of that question is that I think I'm right in saying, James, that the price promise that we want to make through the network is, as it were, made relative to the cost of kind of mainstream retail heat and hot water, rather than pegged as absolute revenue. So it may well be that the price of the energy and the hot water that we're able to pass on to residents, not in absolute terms at the level that we might have hoped to do when we were planning things a year ago. What we can be confident about is that it will be the same as or lower than what they would otherwise be paying either through a kind of household energy system or through a district system powered by other means. Is that right?
That's right. So it's a control rather than a cap. So yes, it's relative to.
Are we tracking how that's changing over time, given the prevailing market?
Yes, so we are. There's various models that we can look at. The Heat Trust have one, Ofgem have another. So we've been using the Ofgem domestic rate because we, as Councillor Smith and I and others have discussed before, what we're keen on in terms of expansion is by incentivising people on gas combi boilers to join. So we've used that because from a business development perspective, that's what people are going to compare things to. But yeah, looking at it from a programme point of view, given what has happened with gas, has done far more for our business case in terms of gas or electrified heat network than anything else that we've done in the last few months. So yeah, so it's something we're reviewing, and we'll set out in detail exactly what's changed and what that looks like. But the fundamental is that we are confident that we're still able to repay. So this wouldn't be a case of the council subsidising something ad infinitum, which of course is the risk, and would probably change the perspective on options that we consider.
I wonder whether when we come back, with that much bigger decision about the kind of financial commitment to this, it might be helpful to include in that report an articulation of how the company will, on an ongoing basis, track, as it were, the retail energy costs, which it's pegging its price promise to give you some kind of confidence about the way that mechanism will work.
Yeah. The other thing I can't recall is how, if business rates end up as heat networks now, how much money that effectively needs to be. That gives us, in terms of the overall picture, what that is relative to the overall cost, and therefore kind of how it builds a bit more slack in the business case as it were.
Absolutely. So following our last briefing last week with Councillor Taylor Smith, that's something the team's working on. I reviewed some figures today and some graphs, and then next fortnight I think we're setting up a briefing. I think we're due to be tomorrow, but we need to move it probably to next week, and that's something we'll be able to share exactly that information.
Okay. I feel I've done a very bad job sharing for doing so much talking. It sounds like there are no more questions from colleagues. Are there any questions from the floor? No? Okay. In that case, we have recommendation to, in section 2, recommendations are in section 2 of the report, and in the additional appendix. I take it that we read the recommendations, so I don't propose to read them out. But are we agreed on recommendations in section 2? Agreed. Good. That takes us to A5, which is any other oral or written public items which are urgent. I don't have anything. Does anybody else? No? Okay, then thank you everybody. This concludes the business on the agenda. And I look forward to seeing you in the next meeting. Thank you.